Good evening. I believe we are live. It is Friday, the 1st of May, and this has been a momentous week in not the best way. I think we're all feeling very heavy-hearted right now with the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill becoming an act this week on Wednesday before Parliament went into prorogation. And yeah, I think a lot of us are just really disappointed because it was really down to the wire, really down to the wire. And, I don't even know if we want to discuss how we feel about it. But yeah, not a good week. But there are still things we can do. So what we're going to just be discussing tonight is obviously we are sharing, and for those who didn't know, that this bill has now become an act, and it will now impact home educators across the country as well as other children, and actually every child in terms of the digital, what do they call it, the identifying number thingy. So yeah, so we've had some things now happening sort of in the wake of this. We've had quite a few questions coming up in Parliament. Let me just see. So we've got this, there are a few here. One of the questions was, oh gosh, I'm trying to see what the answers are here. Have you got any of these questions you want to discuss, Michelle, in particular, the ones that you think stick out for us?
I think all the questions were grouped together because they only gave one. He gave one answer as a group, didn't he? At the end, or am I looking on the wrong thing?
Yes, there was Abdusam Muhammad who asked a question that was answered. Let me just find it now. Asked a number of questions, which were about the 15-day limit in terms of home visits. Yeah, there we go. And whether that would apply during school holidays, what the estimate would be of the cost on visiting home educated children, information on the number of visits carried out, whether they hold information home educated children with separated parents living at different addresses, whether the resident parent will be subject to sanctions if the non-resident parent refuses a visit request. A lot of very interesting questions, things that they haven't
very
really
in-depth, fine details.
Yes, and particularly around the home visit. So there is a response. Josh McAllister has given one response to the whole thing, basically affirming that the bill or the act will empower local authorities to request to see a child in any of the homes in which the child lives within 15 days of the local authority recording the child's home address on their registers, and this applies irrespective of school holidays. So if you're going into the holidays and you're planning on being away, that could be a little bit interesting, I guess.
I think the other thing is it demonstrates how little they know how the local authorities work currently. So there are some local authorities that are only term time employed. Yep. So I don't know how they're going to do. So they've not factored it in. The other thing I found really interesting is he only mentions the sanctions such as fines, making out nothing much has changed. So it's like, as is the case now, parents of children subject to SEO would only be subject to sanctions such as fines. Well, no, the case now is fines. Well, but the Act makes it fines and or prison. And he conveniently misses out. They've added this little bit of incarceration in there.
Just glazing over the fine print there.
Yes, so it's conveniently glossing over it, yes.
Yeah, and all those questions, most of it wasn't answered there.
I see
they claim that they don't know about number of home visits. Well, luckily some of the home ed organisations, we have collated some of that data, so we will be able to help them with some of this bits of information they don't seem to know about. But this is all information that actually they should have thought about before it became an act.
Yes, they should have been collecting this all this time.
Yeah, because they're not going to be. This is the thing, isn't it? That they're not. They don't know how local authorities act right now, and they're not going to be able to design a system that's going to function because they don't understand how it works right now. So how can they adapt from one system to another without understanding what the baseline is? So
Well, it's fairly clear that if they haven't collected this data before they set up this bill, they clearly didn't have evidence to support it. So they didn't have data at all, didn't hold data. So how are they supposed to know that actually this is needed? So it just shows the big holes that we find in the wording of this bill or the act as it now is. But basically, yeah, they say they don't collect data. Why haven't they been collecting it? They've got the wherewithal to do it.
But can I just say it's very gratifying to see that this is actually a Labour MP that's asking these awkward questions.
Yes.
We are starting to see some of the Labour MPs waking up.
Yes. Well, I think this Labour MP, I think, was particularly responsive to her constituents as well. I think this is one of them. Am I right, Michelle? Is this one of those that was really listening to her constituents?
Yes, I think we've got 3 Labour MPs who seem to be happy to put these questions in. But for people on the call looking, if you look at how those questions are stylised, if there's bits about the bill, the act that you want answers to, ask your MP to put in a written question, because now's the time, before the regulations appear, before they consult on the guidance, for those level of detail to be questioned. It also makes the ministers have to go and do the homework, because you'll notice at the end of his answer, they're going to do a burdens assessment. Surely the burdens assessment should have been done a year ago.
Yeah.
So they don't even know how much finance money they need to put aside in the Treasury for this, because they're now doing the burdens assessment when they get asked the questions that I know myself, I know Alison, I know many of you on here have been asking of the government since over a year ago. And now MPs are asking of it. The ministers are like,
I do find it interesting that a number of the amendments that were suggested were refused on the basis of cost, and yet they haven't even costed the cost of the bill.
Yeah.
So it's like one rule for one lot of people and another rule for another. Can
I just mention that Matrix Fairy Music? That's a really good one as an example to ask your MP to put forward as a question, is how are they actually going to manage to visit every single one of these families in 15 days? So yeah, definitely get those questions out there. Don't just tell us the questions, tell them to your MP as well, and make a difference.
Yeah, and I think this is as I've been saying to people, it'll all end in tears, because the provisions that they've made in this bill, they haven't made provision for. So they haven't made provision for the provisions. They haven't thought it through. They haven't done their research to actually find out, what is actually doable. They haven't even asked most of their local authorities.
And they've not assessed the impact of the provisions either.
Yeah. So yes, it's not going to. We're predicting it's not going to end well. I think we know that, and we've been trying to tell them that, but unfortunately, it looks like we'll have to wait for the wheels to come off for them to realize it.
I've got that song going round in my head. I predict a riot.
Are you going to sing, Alison?
No, that's your job. You
should start listening to Isla May. We would like to get Isla May in the top 10 because she talks about being a good citizen and basically what the government and people in general that are in power have been doing to us, enforcing digital ID and much more. So she's quite clued in, and she's making a good music career out of telling everybody.
Yeah, and we've got some good comments coming about, just basically things that haven't been thought through. For instance, there's so many children waiting for school places as it is. If they start, issuing school attendance orders for children because whatever reason we know what local authorities can be like.
There aren't enough school places.
Yeah, and if they want to put everyone in school, that's going to be interesting. So so we will. I think that in practice we're going to find this. There's going to be a lot of issues. So there are quite a few there. Are there any other sort of questions here? Other questions that? Yes, there's a question on Did I open this one? Special educational needs. With reference to SEND reforms, what provisions will be made for home educated children with SEND and children with emotionally based school avoidance? And Georgia Gould said she hasn't got time to answer that before prorogation. So there are a lot of good questions.
How to get out of jail free cards.
Yeah. So look, this is a good tool. Being able to ask your MP to ask questions of the minister in the House, I think this is a good tool, and we need to keep up that pressure. I think that's the best thing we can do right now, is just keep the questions coming, keep the questions, forcing them to have to answer when they don't have the answers. I think will highlight some of the ineptness that's gone into this. Okay, so then what else do we have? I'm going to come to some. Were there any other questions that were useful? Just having a look. Okay, we have a couple of stories as well. So let me just see which ones.
We've got this one from Baroness Bennett.
Okay, we still got questions. Okay.
Yeah. So we've got Baroness Bennett.
Yes. Yes, of course. Yes. And what estimate they've made of the cost of providing free GCSE and A-level examinations for home educated. Well, she said homeschooled, but we know what she means. And of course, what do they say? They haven't made any provision, because we as parents take on the full financial cost, regardless of the fact that we're not putting our children in school and taking advantage of the allowances that are given to children in school from our taxes. So it's disingenuous at best. And of course, this is the funniest one to me. The Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill will introduce a new requirement for local authorities to provide information on accessing GCSE exams to home educating families in the area. Now, home educators in the country have been very, very information all by themselves, and actually probably has to better information because of the networks and lived experience of people in areas, knowing where you can go, where the exam centers are, and so on. It's a totally this provision in the bill is about as useful as a chocolate teapot, I think is the saying.
Can I just make an observation? Juliet and I are both on the board of Homeschooling Europe, and one of the things that happens in Europe where home education is legal is I don't think there's a single country where they do not have free access to matriculation such as GCSEs. We are an outlier in that we punish home educators. So, it's all very well the government saying, oh, we're an outlier. We allow this, that, and the other in home education. But they also restrict things that every other country would see as completely normal.
They can't have it both ways. Either it's all our responsibility or it's not. It can't be half-half, because they want it to be all our responsibility when it comes to exams, but not all our responsibility when it comes to making the choices and decisions around our children's education.
And for the last 5 years, they've been saying we don't know the outcomes of these home educated children, and we're going, hello, every single survey we've ever done, people said they want access to GCSEs. So you've got a problem, we've got the solution. Can we not just?
Yeah, I mean, I should say that a lot of home educators feel like they don't really want to make a deal with the devil, so to speak, because if you do accept government offer of something, there's strings attached to it. And but my personal feeling is, if they are going to make us jump through the hoops, they might as well give us a reward for it at the end of the day. So I think that's as long as we were able to take personal responsibility and just get on with it without too much interference, I was quite happy to not have any to pay for exams myself, to accept all of that responsibility. But if they're going to put us through all of this, I feel like at the very least they could actually give us something in return.
But also they use number of GCSEs as a measure to see whether an education has been successful. By effectively blocking the home educating families from taking them, they are dooming them to failure by their own measure on purpose. So it's just utterly ridiculous. And it's all very well to say, oh, well, you can take them as a private candidate. But we know that in the last 6 years, the number of private centres, people taking private candidates has dropped off a cliff completely.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of places that were open to home educators, like local schools and small exam centres, that have closed down or shut them.
And it's costly. And I think that this is a door worth beating on a little more. You know, even if they just make centres available, or they, you know, ask schools to, you know, I think people don't mind paying if they've got a centre that's accessible, like a school where they would charge, you know, fairly reasonable. You know, they would only pay the cost, really. You wouldn't, because some of the exam centres, they have to be open all year round and pay staff members, and not so obviously that drives the prices up.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Can I just ask Michelle if she would talk on? There's a comment come up here that says, my local MP will not engage with me or my husband. She's the Portsmouth Labour MP, and she is sadly most proud of supporting the CNIS bill. Even this week on her Facebook page, saying how she voted for the bill. What do we do if our local MP will not engage with us, will not listen to us, will not write back to us? Michelle, what's the options open to us?
It's still a case of just trying to get them to. So I know some people email their MP and then they'll put on social media, you know, that they've not had a response. Other people will phone the parliamentary office and ask, when will I receive a response? Because sometimes if your MP is sat in the parliamentary office, you'll be put through to them when they may not be responding to you. It becomes quite tricky when they won't engage with you. But a lot of people do find the social media bit does seem to work.
Some MPs have drop-in surgeries as well. That's always worth a shot. Or getting or the other thing is to find another minor issue that you want to talk to your MP about, make the appointment for the surgery about the minor issue, and then slip seamlessly within 30 seconds onto your big issue.
I did today. My MP thought he was turning up to talk about potholes, and I got him finally.
Yeah, I think some of them are like that, and you know, you get a response on one matter, and then the others have, particularly with home education, it's a marmite subject for a lot of MPs, because they are so set in their minds about what it is and what it isn't, and they see us as being a bit pesky, you know.
Don't forget, we've got local elections coming up. So MPs are going to be very keen to be out and about and seen to be doing something good for the community. So play on that. If you're doing a sponsored car wash, invite your MP and tell him all about the bill and how much you don't like it. You know, it seems backhanded, but, you know, there are ways of doing it.
Yeah, I think, you know, we do have to just keep up the pressure, because there's still many stages now that before the provisions of this act become actual law. So that leads me to our next point, which are some letters that the DFE sent out. I think it was today, wasn't it, Michelle? If you can tell us a little bit more about these letters, please.
So yes, the DFE has contacted the local authorities to ensure that they realise just because it has become an act does not mean it is ready to be implemented yet, and that there are stages that need to happen. They've sent 2 letters. One was a letter to the local authorities that the local authorities need to send out to the parents that they know of that are home educating, so that the parents are reassured that nothing is changing now, that there will be a consultation, that there will be draft statutory guidance that they can comment on, and that it'll be post this when things changed, that there's processes to go along for the regulations to be put in place. So as a reassurance that just because this is now an act, not a bill, nothing changes today. In fact, nothing's changing for quite a long time with regards to the children not in school bit. So this letter, if you've not received it yet and you're a known home educator, you should be receiving it. If you've not
home
received it off your
educators,
local
just to
authority,
reiterate that,
if you've not received it off your local authority within, say, a week or so, it would be helpful for you to let us know. I know I think on a few groups, they've got polls of, let us know what's going on, because we also want to see if local authorities are being selective about which home educators in their area they get. So I know one local authority was very quick off the mark in getting these letters emailed out. I think they probably literally opened the inbox and then sent them out to the parents. But it's been quite interesting where you've got some known ones going, yeah, I got that last night. And then you've got, hang on, I haven't received anything and I'm known. So it might just be they're on a different staff list, but we'd be interested to see if actually they're intentionally not telling newer home educators or older home educators and things like that, just for our own interest for moving forward, who they're trying to shelter. The other one they sent, and we will continue to push back this, was directly to the local authorities, reminding them as a local authority that the Act, although it's passed, is not to be implemented yet. They've then got this bullet point list of things that will be changing future. Now, we will do our best to push back against a lot of them, and there's still time to push back, but it's very clear that the measures will introduce, so they're not in play now. So again, if your LA starts acting as if the Act is in play now, you can confidently say, you're wrong, read your letter you got off the DfE, because the DfE has instructed all of them that this has nothing changes now. And I know across many of the home ed organisations, they will be displaying these letters. So if you haven't received a copy, then you'll be able to see it. And obviously it will be attached to the Substack because we've got them here. So that you know what it says and you can then play that back. Again, I'm also aware of some home educators whose local authorities have tried implementing this when it was just a bill, have used the letters to email the LA and say, please can I have an apology, because quite clearly I was right and you were wrong, because this only became an act this week, and you insisted on X, Y, and Z. Which I quite like that stance, because if you have been misled by your LA, now is the time to put them back in the box and make it clear that I'm happy to do what the law says, but what the law says alone, I'm not going to be tricked into stuff that I don't need to do.
Yeah, and you could even send them the letter and say, perhaps you didn't receive this letter from the DfE. Here it is for your convenience, Alison.
I'm actually very pleased, because this is the result of several months' work behind the scenes, where I have a monthly meeting with the elective home education team at the DfE. And it's one of the things that we were very keen for them to do, we've been telling them, are you going to remind local authorities that they can't implement the bill when it becomes an act straight away? And finally last week they came back and said, do you want us to write a letter? And we went, yes. So and here it is. And they said, what do you want in the letter? And we said this, 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 and this, and that is what they've done. So it's the first time we've been listened to in the whole process. But we've had some, at least we've got those links, and this is the result of those links. So I was quite despairing and thinking, what is the point in meeting with the DfE on a monthly basis if they don't listen to a word I say? But this has actually made it well worth it.
Well done.
Yeah, so I think Educational Freedom will have copies of these. I know Education Otherwise has copies of these. So, you can get copies, maybe print them off just for having them, or keep them on your computer in case you need to send it to your local authority and remind them. Because some will get ahead of themselves. And it's going to take a while to work these things out. So I want to just talk a little bit about, so there will be consultations coming up and that kind of thing, won't there, Michelle? What can we expect in terms of things we're going to need to respond to?
We know that's happening. We know that there will be a draft statutory guidance that we'll be able to comment on. But obviously we don't know what shape that is. We do know that when it opens, it's expected to be a 12-week consultation. That's what details we have been told. But beyond the specifics, We haven't got them yet, but we do know from what the Act didn't contain in the face of the Act, there is a lot of detail that will have to go into this statutory guidance that they're planning on for the future.
And remember, we haven't had the results from their consultation on their last attempt at changing the guidance. So that's when was that? 2022, I think it was, Michelle.
It was 2023 Christmas. So the consultation closed January 2024. And I've got an open FOI at the moment because they refused to give me the raw information. So I've got an open FOI at the moment asking if they've ever bothered to analyse it. And if they did they analyse it in person or did they use AI, etc.? I should be getting that result for the FOI soon, but that's if they even answer it, or rather than use an exemption. But at this moment in time, they haven't responded. But yes, so at this point, we don't even know if they did anything with our answers to the last consultation.
There's a comment here that says, if the wheels fall off as they try to implement the bill, would that be in our favour or be worse for us? It'll be in our favour because it just shan't be shambolic. You know, don't. It's great. It's absolutely great.
Get the popcorn.
Yeah,
get the popcorn if the wheels start falling off.
Yeah. Get the popcorn, sit back and relax and watch the bonfire. Definitely. And there was another one. Yeah, somebody said we will now be in the worst of all situations, a mandatory register, a home visit by my LA officer, and no easier access. It's not guaranteed that everybody will get a home visit, by the way. They have to consider a home visit. Home visits are not compulsory. So we've yet to see how that is going to pan out, really.
And the thing is, for some local authorities like mine at the moment, we only have one person in a part-time post. So, you know, for some local authorities, if they have to do all of the stuff, it's going to be really, really difficult. It will be interesting to see whether, you know, what funding goes to local authorities, if they need to staff up and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot that we will remain to be seen, and that they have to figure out. Before we move on to sort of actions and things that people can be doing, is there anything that I've overlooked? Anything that I should have mentioned?
Yeah, you mentioned the Substack. So if you want to subscribe to the Substack and you haven't already, remember, put !Substack in the chat, and that will give you a link.
Yeah, because the Substack will continue to go out while we've still got. So the other thing is, there's a bit of a news story as well that we can share, which was Wakefield. If we can have that story up. Alison, you want to talk a bit about this story?
Yeah, I mean,
it's the Wakefield homeschooling cases rise above. Okay.
Michelle, I don't care which one you get up. Either one will do.
The first one.
Yeah. So so it is really interesting that you know, we're still getting these news stories from different areas of the country where they go, oh, our numbers have gone up so much. But I think this is the first time I've seen it be really quite, you know, blatant about the mistrust of schools and how they are treating children. There was another article that mentioned that you know, where we have to understand that the local authority doesn't get, if your child deregisters from school, the money that normally goes to the school just doesn't go anywhere. The Treasury keep it. You know, so that money just evaporates into the ether back to the Treasury. So if they are going to put all the kids in school, that's going to cost them a lot of money. But also local authorities and schools, they're getting less money the more people that home educate. So it's quite a tricky situation for them, really. But there you go. You see, figures contained in the report said secondary schools in the district had missed out on 6.4 million because of EHE. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
We've put an F in the middle there.
Yeah.
That's terrible typo.
But you know, I mean that's you know, the schools are going, yeah, but you know, where are all the pupils? We can't fund the teachers. We can't do this. The whole thing's just messed up. It really is.
Yeah. So this was a good article because it highlights the issues and the problems that. It's funny how everyone else is saying the blatantly obvious, and somehow those in Parliament are immune to things like
But that headline was like, in 6 years, like they haven't looked for 6 years, and suddenly,
yeah,
there's lots of home educators. We didn't know about those.
Yeah. So
because you know the myth that we are some sort of secret society and that we hide our children away has never ever been true. And I think it's laughable, because I was saying today that the amount of people home educating has grown at a nice steady rate, and you know, we haven't suddenly gone up drastically and taken over the world. We aren't looking at 20% of the population or anything like that. We're 1.5% top. So I think they're just sensationalizing things.
Yeah.
Sell articles these days.
Yeah. Another thing that we need to also be looking out for, because part of this act that has been passed is all to do with social media and use of the internet by children, that kind of thing, and they going to want to be introducing things like age verification, and then of course we already have the consistent single consistent identifier that is part of this act, which means every child will be given a number that they will be tracked by, but we also will need to be looking, because we've got the digital ID things that are trying to creep in at every opportunity. So Kat, if you could go to the Open Rights group, it's a little black icon there, yeah, that one. So this is the Open Rights group. That's an article, has warned that new powers agreed by MPs in the Children and Schools Wellbeing Bill to expand age identification across online platforms risks creating a system of digital checkpoints. So that means we will have children that will grow up quite used to their information being out there and being managed by other people. And
that's the whole point, isn't it? That's the whole point. That was the whole reason Tony Blair wanted to move us towards being a digital society and having all of civil society on the interwebs. But now we're having all of that on the internet, and we're not allowing the children access to it. So once they reach 16 or 18, it's going to be like a free for all, and they're going to go crazy.
I think the thing is once again
it's like not letting children have sugar.
Yes, but once again, it's taking that responsibility away from parents. So instead of really encouraging parents to take more responsibility and to make sure that their children are using technology in a responsible way and an age-appropriate way, the government wants to take control of that. And they've done it in Australia. And it mentions here that they've gone from proposals to check for bad things to the prospect of checking ID to access social media or unlock everyday features such as live streams or feeds. So it goes to where they're needing checks for everything. It's not, so they will always say it's about this big bad thing, but then eventually it creeps into your everyday life until it's accepted.
It's worth also highlighting that if you don't have digital ID and you don't pass these checks, for whatever reason, people with Ehlers-Danlos, for example, will look younger than they are. So the scanning on the facial recognition won't recognize your true age because of your younger looks. And the extra issue will be that the Labour Party said from the very beginning that they would be putting curfews in place. So if you don't pass these tests, you potentially get cut off from the internet at a certain time. And they're also considering a time restriction. So you may only get a rationing of 2 hours of internet, and it will be restricted based on what functionality the site has.
And I
How's
think
that going to work for all these schools that make?
no. What they're going to do is in the
homework
school
on it.
setting. In school
Yeah.
setting, it'll be absolutely fine. It'll be, let's use AI, let's use tech, let's use this. But it's once again intruding into the home and the private lives of people.
That wasn't my point, Juliet. My point was
Yeah.
that every single secondary school around me now sends their homework on some kind of app.
Yeah.
And the kids
Google
are doing their
Classroom or
homework
whatever.
on an app. So they need the internet to do that. And how's that going to work?
Well, they'll use up their 2 hours rationing on homework and won't have time for anything else. So,
well, what I was
anyway,
looking at was that the definition of the social media ban is very dependent on a list of bad sites that are high risk coming out in July. So we don't even know what we're legislating yet until that list is published. At the moment, Wikipedia, Google Drive, and Facebook, Discord, Pinterest, and everything else all comes in scope. Even the Blue Peter website would come into scope in the current definition.
Yeah.
So we really need to be like aware that this is potential.
Yeah, it is there is a massive power grab here with this, and I think there are various websites where you can go and sign petitions or where they are lobbying against it. So you might want to go and have a look at those and get behind campaigns by these other organizations. So I think Big Brother Watch is one of them. So go and have a look. Okay, let me see. What else have we got here? So I think that's it for our stories. Let me just see.
Let me just add myself in here. Which that?
Okay, we're just going to hear from our...
Yeah. There's Big Brother Watch, there's Open Rights Group and Liberty that tend to be tracking this at the minute.
Yeah.
There has been a couple others as well, but I don't have them right here.
And I think that's also a thing to write your MP about. I think this is to keep nagging your MPs, because even though the act has passed, I think we can't stop about this particular one either. They didn't do proper scrutiny of this part of the act at all.
Yeah. Somebody put up a suggestion that we should start asking again for the DPIA.
Yes, well, we should.
We keep asking.
Keep them squirming.
That's the other thing you can do with your MPs is ask if that's the data protection impact assessment, right? Yeah. So you can, when you're contacting MPs, say, please, I haven't seen this impact assessment on the data protection. Please, can you find out if it's been published? And if you've got a copy, please send it to me or whatever. Just nag, because the more MPs we're asking, the more people that are asking the ministers, the more we are pestering them, and they might not have the answers, and they're going to be flustering and harassed and whatever, and the holes will start to appear. So all of these things, just we can continue to do this kind of thing.
Well, we know some people have already had the response back from the MP where the MP didn't realise the DPIA isn't available because they just sent the normal impact assessments, which doesn't include the DPIA. So they thought they'd scrutinised the impact assessments, and then obviously we can go back and say that doesn't include the DPIA. Where's the DPIA? Because you'd expect it to be in the bundle of impact assessments.
Exactly.
It isn't.
Yeah.
And the FOIs we've had imply that many sections that should have a DPI against, they haven't done one for, and other bits they have done it, but they're not going to let anyone see it. So we need to keep pushing. And
the track record in terms of data protection is absolutely dire. So we do need to keep on. So these are the little ways we can pester, is asking, emailing them about the digital ID, emailing them asking for the data protection impact assessments in respect of the Act. What was the other one we said earlier? Asking them to ask questions in the House. So all of these things you can keep doing. Okay, so then we spoke, we have a couple of other things you can do. So if we could have the survey up, please, Kat.
Which one?
There's a survey generating at the moment, the Home Education Futures one. That's the tab, I believe. So this survey is being conducted by a group headed by Lord Crisp from the House of Lords. He's headed up this commission to and commissioned this research for home educating families. Now, many of you will remember Lord Crisp spoke up for us a great deal in the House of Lords. This is very important, an important study. We need as many people as possible to respond. It closes on Monday, I think at midnight. So you've got till Monday. I think it takes about 15 minutes. I don't think it's terribly long, but it's very important to capture this information. The purpose, if you want to just go back up to that, I'll say the purpose of it is the purpose of the study is we want to capture information about why families are increasingly choosing elective home education or flexi schooling, and what would help home educators and flexi schoolers the most so future policy can be fully informed. And the hope with this piece of work is that it will provide something that can go to politicians before September and so on, when they start having their party conferences and so on, to inform people so that they can be educated by us, by our views, and that could actually be a very, very it will be a very helpful piece of work, even as a standalone. So please, the link has gone up in the comments. Please, if you could take the time tomorrow, Sunday or Monday, and just do this. My name is there, you can see on there as well, because I've been part of this. So please go ahead and complete that survey. It won't take you terribly long, and obviously the more views we have, the more credible the study is, and the more weight it carries. So because we most of our studies haven't had a huge amount of responses, and if we can get a big amount, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. We do still have some Fadua Govert's research, which we haven't got a link for, but we will put something in the Substack to go out as well. That's also to do with the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Act.
Yeah, that's it's called Home Education Research. We Need Your Voice. Home educating parents and carers' perceptions of the bill and now the act, basically.
So that could also be a very important bit of research to have. So we will try and get that sent to you in the Substack, which will go out on Monday. And if you haven't subscribed yet, as we said, please just put in the comments !Substack, and you will get the link to it so you can subscribe and receive all this and more, everything we've discussed tonight and more. Comprehensive list of articles that Kat gathers every week for those who really want to get to dig in. We also have a number of petitions that you can still make the most of. I will hand over to Michelle because and Michelle, I want to come back to your page as well. So don't let me forget that. We need to talk about your page. So we've got a number of petitions that are still out there, and you can still respond to. If Michelle, we could talk a bit about that.
So there's still the change one, which is digital ID and the dangerous bills, which is still relevant because obviously, even though it mentions a bill, even though it's become an act, they would still need to respond to the points made in it. Then there are some government petitions. There are 6 at the moment that are directly related to this. There's the pause the bill for a consultation, which is with the Children's Commissioner, and that was set up by a teenager. There's pause the bill to consider home education. There's a social care commission inquiry.
There's the fund-free access for exams as well, which closes next week.
Yes, but I don't know if that one actually has the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill specifically in it.
Yeah.
But yes, that's related. There's the we want an explicit exemption for sex offenders from getting children's data through this bill. All of these ones, if we get numbers on it, they still have to respond. Just because the bill is now an act doesn't mean the government can ignore it. The government, if it gets to 10,000, the government must still do a response. There's also the big one, which I missed out, which is withdraw the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill immediately. Now, that one's, I think that was at 23,000 last time I looked. Now, if we got that over the 100,000 to get the debate, they would still have to discuss it. Obviously, they'd say, well, it's now an act, but because it's withdrawing immediately, they'd still have to talk about the substance within that, and making them keep having to review what they've got in this act keeps the government focused that we're still scrutinising, we're still keeping an eye. And it'd be fantastic if when they reopen Parliament on the 13th, every petition related to the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, telling them to pause it, telling them to review it, telling them to consult with people here, telling them that they need a better evidence base. If all of them required them to respond, they, again, a bit like the minister's answers, they have to start looking, and then they start seeing the holes themselves that, although we've been trying to tell them for ages, if they have to address it, they actually have to find a way around that hole, and the hole becomes bigger and bigger, and then more people will scrutinise because they can see, hang on, but they should have just been able to answer that. That should be a simple answer. Now, we know a lot of the evidence doesn't exist for most of the things in here, but we need them to demonstrate that they haven't got this evidence, because at the moment they're relying on a lot on rhetoric and people just accepting.
And we kind of
government
know
says it's true.
But we kind of know what responses they will give. So it would be even better if we could get them to debate it. So
Absolutely.
If we can get some of those petitions to over 100,000, share everywhere, get them to over 100,000, they actually have to debate it. There are ones about the social media stuff as well, which was also in the Act. And I'm just trying to find up. I went past it early on. So yeah, so there's quite a few, and those will be in the Substack as well. So do it like it's your job.
Oh, no. The petitions don't go in the Substack. They go on Michelle's Saturday list.
Okay, so they'll go on, which will, okay, so I'm gonna skip across now to talking about the page that Michelle runs, which is the Stop the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. It has now been rebranded Fix the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Act. Okay. Yeah. And this is where you can also find on a Saturday all the petitions that you can sign. So if you go on a Saturday and think, I've got nothing to do today, go and sign petitions as if it's your paid job, please. Okay. So, and get all your family to sign them as well. So Michelle, tell us about.
Remember, there's no age limit.
Tell us about your rebranding.
Well, obviously, we didn't stop the bill. So we couldn't really continue with the logo saying to stop the bill because we hadn't stopped it. So it's now become an act. Now, one of the things consistently throughout, what the bill contained at the beginning, the act, lots of it doesn't look the same at all. And actually, there are a couple of things that, do you know what? I sort of agree with. Now it's an act. One of them being the allergy pens. It seems ridiculous to me that we're at a point where we don't think that we need allergy pens in schools, and so something that was good in the Act is that schools will have to have allergy pens available. I think that's quite good. So sort of don't want to stop the Act completely. Another thing they've added in is about the sort of willful neglect for older teenagers, which there's this weird bit about if children were in care and they were 17, they sort of were missed off the adult rules and missed off the under 16 rules. Again, sort of think that if you're in a caring position and you're abusing them, you probably should be held accountable. So there are a couple of things that have appeared in the Act on its bill's passage that actually aren't too bad, and I probably don't want to get rid of them. However, most of it is still horrendous, and most of it is still very concerning and doesn't follow the evidence, from the bits of it lowers accountability in social care, it erodes parental responsibility, it removes children's rights in loads of ways, it removes autonomy from certain types of schools, so from academies, it enforces qualified teacher status even if that may not be appropriate for the particular thing. So like with certain vocational subjects, actually learning off an expert who's been in the field for many years is more appropriate than somebody who isn't a subject specialist but just has a QTS. because you might be literally about to go into that career. But all the arguments fell without the government listening at all. I think we all heard about the free breakfast, but despite people raising the fact that, well, this actually isn't going to be suitable for children with SEND who rely on transport because they haven't arranged to move transports around, it doesn't factor in children on EOTUS who can't attend school. So they're not getting this free breakfast. So it missed out a big amount of children, and it was always children with under the SEND umbrella. So the Act disproportionately affects those with disabilities, and that includes parents and children, because again, a lot of referrals to social services that are done on misunderstandings around disabilities. I know of many parents who are disabled who have been told that because they're disabled, they obviously can't parent, and they've ended up with referrals to social services on that basis alone, nothing else. Now, this Act throughout doesn't reflect the real world, the real lived world. People have spoken out about it. So we've had the Victoria Colombo Foundation have spoken out. The British Association of Social Workers spoke out. Reclaim Rights for Children have actively spoke out. Obviously, all the home education communities have been speaking out. Teachers have been speaking out. Faith leaders have been speaking out. All of these people who are experts across all the fields that this Act covers are not being listened to. And although it has children's wellbeing in the title, it seems to forget to put them at the centre. Children have not been consulted on this. We know this because we did FOIs to the Children's Commissioner. We did FOIs to the DfE. So we've done lots of FOIs, and it came back consistently that something that's literally about children, apparently children didn't need to be asked about or consulted on. Yet we know lots of other acts that actually don't have the children embedded into them. Children have been consulted on. Yeah. So it needs fixing. And so now the plan is, that's its title. So let's actually make it about children's well-being.
Yeah.
And let's actually make it about improving schools and education, and let's fix it for them. So we will be pushing back against all the bits in it that are absolutely abhorrent and wrong. And we will be campaigning and actively pushing forward things that could improve it or actually remember the children that it's supposed to be about.
Yeah, Michelle. And I think the thing is that laws are overturned all the time. People are able to change law. Now, it doesn't mean it's easy, because once it's there, it's much harder to get rid of it. But it happens because, it doesn't work, or if they realize, oopsie, it's, there's a problem here. So that we can still continue to lobby and still continue to push back. There will be more as we see how things pan out in terms of regulations and guidance and that kind of thing, that we can do at that point in time when those become relevant. And we are going to be doing our best to keep our ears to the ground and when things come out and they develop. But yeah, I think we all need a little bit of a break, and just to kind of like lick our wounds a little bit, I guess, Is there anything else that we needed that I've left out, Kat, that we had on our list?
I was just going to say, on top of the rebranding, I'm also holding 3 meetings on Monday.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you.
So I'm holding them on Zoom. I was originally going to pick a time, but we had such a good response because we need to unite. We need to generate ideas. We need to campaign together. We need our voices amplified. Therefore, we need to generate ideas in how do we move forward? What are the focus points for campaigning forward? And therefore, I have 3 meetings on Monday. It was originally going to be 1, but we had a really good response. So I'm hoping people do attend. I've got 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 in the evening on Monday. Which, if you're in the Home Education Action Group, you probably have already seen the Zoom links. But I know we're going to add them into the Substack, and
yes,
as if by magic, Kat has added them into the comments as well.
Yes.
as many people as possible. If you can come, that'd be fantastic, so that we can really start putting a proper campaigning team together
Yes.
to move forward and ensure that we do hold the government to account. If they're going to pass an act called the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Act, then we want children's wellbeing front and centre, and
So
we will
just-
hold them to account.
And just to reiterate then, so this is Monday, 4th of May. May the 4th be with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. More relevant, couldn't have been a more relevant day, really. So Michelle is conducting 3 Zoom meetings. This is open to you. If you feel like you want to get involved, you want to contribute, you want to share your thoughts, you want to share your ideas, you want to get more involved and in pushing back and it just really, we also need reinforcements as well, because I think all of us are pretty tired, and a lot of people have only just realized about this act. You know, a lot of people didn't even know about it. Maybe you only know about it now you're mad. Come and bring that energy on Monday. So there's a 10 a.m. meeting, a 2:31 and 7:30 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And
the
also it'd be
Zoom links are there.
fantastic if I could get some people to help, because also launching a new website, obviously under the new branding, which I hope to have open on the Tuesday. There is a landing page at the moment if people want to go and have a look at where I've got to. But it'd be fabulous if there's some of you in the meeting who would be good at things like that to help us maintain things.
We
and
do
update
need
things
helpers.
quickly.
We do need helpers. We need people who can help with social media. We need people who are techie. We need people who are good with ideas. We need people who are good at action. You know, so really this is a great opportunity for you to come along and actually be part of trying to push back and to bolster our numbers a little bit. You know, what's that old fashioned ad that say, we need you, with a big pointy finger? We need you.
Absolutely.
So please come along to one of those meetings on Monday, and invite anyone else you know who's feeling like they want to do more. And we are called the Home Education Action Group. Those of you who are in the action group, because we want action. So if that's why you joined the action group, this is your opportunity to actually get more involved, and we would love to see you there.
There's 17,000 of you, so if a couple of you could give a couple of hours, that would be really nice.
Yes, because some of us are
Exhausted. I am knackered.
Yes, and we have lives that have been put on hold for a long time as well. So please come. We do need you. We need your energy and your anger, if that's what it takes.
If I can just add in there, if you try clicking on those links and it doesn't load properly, it's because Facebook adds a load of tracking crap on the end. We can send you, it's a technical term, obviously. We can send you the direct links through the Facebook group or any of our other channels if you're having trouble, and they will be on the Substack, which will go out this Monday morning. I'm sorry the last one was late. I literally had the window behind another window and I just didn't press the button. So it came out Monday evening.
Job, you know, you're allowed to forget once in a while.
Yeah. So the links for the Zoom calls will be in the Substack Monday morning. But if you want it before then, just give one of us a shout or in the action group.
Yeah, because you know, we want you there, and I think you might also, you might be able to copy it and then go and paste it in. I don't know if it would do. Sometimes it cuts it off, doesn't it? Facebook, like you don't get the whole.
Yeah, it's really good at that.
Yeah, I know. So, but we are here to help you. You can tag Kat Brown on the action group, and she will make sure you get what you need. So,
can I just say thank you to everyone in the action group who is commenting, liking and sharing content, because that helps us get that message out there to those that aren't getting that algorithm hit them with that on their newsfeed.
And I think on that note, it's appropriate to say thank you to everyone who has really tried their hardest. Thank you to those who took the time to write to their MPs, meet with their MPs, get signatures for petitions, just doing whatever you could. And I just want to say thank you.
Don't forget the protests.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and attending the protests, driving cars across the country, Alison, and all of these things. You know, just thank you. And I want to thank Michelle for her tireless campaigning. She is a force of nature.
Yeah, and we'll stop that there. And on that note of protests, there is the Send Legal Rights protest on the 9th of May. Now, I have reached out, and they are happy for you to fight against the Act. So bring your Fixing the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Act banners and campaign, because this Act does disproportionately affect families with SEND, and therefore this can be included at the rallies there. I'll be at the London one, and I know quite a few other people at the London one. I'm also aware of people definitely going to the Leeds one. Haven't reached out massively beyond that, but you are absolutely welcome at those to also ensure people know about this Act and know about what actions you may be taking, or you may know people are taking to push back against this Act.
We're like one of those shows where just when you think it's finished, we come back with something like, oh, no, we're not encore. You know,
well, there is a little bit you've forgotten. But yeah.
Did I forget anything else?
I'm pleased to see those new cities coming up, because there's some of them that we've never been protesting in before. So
check all your tabs there, Kat. Make sure we covered them all.
Oh no, there is some things.
There's just so much.
This is more my nerdy geekery, so it doesn't necessarily interest everyone. The DFE have released their new data collection guide for home education and CME children.
They've removed
what was
bullying, is that right?
They removed bullying as a reason for a child becoming CME. But that'll just be under general school dissatisfaction.
Okay.
For some reason, that's still a reason for EHE, but not CME. Yeah, I know. There's like a few other little things people might be interested in.
Why that is? That's because they want to gaslight the home educated. So for the home educated, it's their fault because they weren't resilient enough.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you know, if we do it for the CME, then it's just dear. You know,
but they're collecting a bit more and protect it on some of the protected characteristics as well. So so that they're gradually, and I know we talked about some of the data organizations before. These little changes add to the way they can profile people.
Yeah.
So by gradually just adding, we'll just add that characteristic on and that one. Once you start triangulating through AI, etc., you can start to build up profiles of people, and actually that can be quite
feeding
dangerous.
the rhetoric, isn't it? Feeding the narrative. Okay. Yep. Anything else?
And then we've just got the digital identity consultation. That closes within the next week. So if you're planning on filling that in, get that done. I believe Open Rights Group have been reporting, I've not actually gone through this consultation myself yet, but I believe they're saying it's proposing a single unique identifier for every adult. That didn't take them long, but and then the one other bit
one wider as well.
Yeah, that's our job for the next week. And then last bit of data geekery. This consultation is actually aimed at local authorities, and it closes today, which is AI and other digital technology in children's social care. And it's asking local authorities, what tools are they already using with children's data? Because the DFE don't know. So this is mainly in our list for anyone that fancies sending an FOI to ask their local authority what was their response to this consultation.
Interesting. Yeah.
So that'll be there. That'll still be in Substack on Monday, but this will be the last week these two appear. And then there will be other open consultations listed in Substack for your perusal.
So nobody could ever accuse us of not telling people things. So
info dumping, that's our specialty.
That's been over an hour of stuff, and a lot of it is actions you can take. So if you've stuck with us this long, thank you and well done. As I said, thank you everyone that's helped so far and done everything they could, and we will probably take a break from doing these lives for a little while we regroup and consider next steps as well on how we want to campaign
and consider the results of the 3 meetings on Monday as well, because they're hopefully feed in usefully to what shape the campaign is going to be like going forward. So please don't forget those meetings. They're up on my Facebook wall as well. I've just put them up while we've been talking. So, do come. There's 3 there for a reason, so that you can get to one of them. I know it's Bank Holiday Monday, but it's your children's future.
And if I may have your indulgence, do you mind if I say a few words about the conference?
Oh, go for it. Yes.
I know everyone needs something good to look forward to right now. So 2 weeks tomorrow, the 16th of May, is Learn Free Conference in Coventry. It'll be a day conference, the Learn Free Home Educators Conference. We have been sponsored by Tutors and Exams to the extent that we can maintain the early bird price. So we are keeping the early bird price. The theme is choosing your child, changing the story. We have a fabulous lineup. We have goodie bags, which I'm really excited about, because really good goodie bags we've got too. And we've also got getting some prizes donated as well. It's going to be a really good positive day. It's for any home educator, or if you're just thinking of home educating and you want some answers to your questions. It really, there's something for everybody, and it will be a really good, encouraging, positive day out. So if you just want something good to look forward to, come along there. You can see Jen Hodge, Heidi Steele, Katie Finlayson, and Nicola as well, Nicola Leyland.
And we don't need a picture of Michelle because she's right here.
Yes, and who are just some of the speakers. Michelle will be there as well. And
it's in fact, can I just say, I'm really, really upset that I can't make it. I have a clash. And I've made it every year for the past goodness knows how long. Yeah. And it's such a great lineup. And whereas a lot of the stuff that's happened at conferences recently has been political, this is not. This is absolutely not. This is this is supportive. It's empowering. If anybody actually knows Juliet in person, they will know that she is the biggest empowerment vehicle for families. She's incredible at empowering families to do the best for their children, to be the best for their children. And that is what this conference is all about this year.
Thank you for that endorsement. And I just want to also say it is run on a non-profit basis. So we are covering our costs. We're covering our costs. We're making sure the speakers don't have to be out of pocket for their travel costs and that kind of thing. So, but please, I'm actually very, very excited about this year. So many good things have fallen into place for this year. We will have some resource providers as well in attendance. And it's just incredibly positive. We're in an accessible venue as well, and it's very, very close to the train station in Coventry.
Yeah, I was going to say that the transport links are pretty good, and as a wheelchair user myself, that was the first thing I checked with Juliet, was how far away from the train station is it?
Yeah, it's across the road from the train station.
Yeah, because
Amy's got more trouble getting on the train at her end than she's going to have getting off the train at that end.
It is going to, that's why I just thought, you know what, we've had such a heavy session to this evening and a lot to get through. So if you want to go and do something positive, book your ticket now for Learn Free in 2 weeks' time. We would love to see you there and actually have a fantastic, wonderful, celebratory and supportive day together. Yeah. I hope to see you there. And Sam in the comments has said, "Oh, goodie bags." And I know Sam has booked, so I'm looking forward to seeing you, Sam, and handing you your goodie bag.
Great. Okay,
so I think that's it, guys. We will see you when we see you. Just if you want to be notified when we next go live, just put in !, notify in the comments, and you will receive a notification. Take care.
Or subscribe to the Home Education channel on YouTube. And then
yes, because we also
what did they say on YouTube? Is it ring the bell or something?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, but
that's the one.
The Home Education channel.
And subscribe.
Yes. and you can catch all our videos. You can find all our videos on there. Okay, guys, have a good week. Thanks for sticking with us. See you soon, I hope. Bye.
Bye.